Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Sphumelele Zondi. Many in Ghana are resisting the introduction of genetically modified food in the country. Facebook has made yet another acquisition. We'll discuss this with Digital Voodoo's Seth Mbele tonight. We'll also go to Morocco, where an animation festival recently took place. We are live. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook and Twitter, News Network at sabc.co.za and email. Let's get to your technology and social media news. The Departments of Communications and Basic Education have launched the Schools Connectivity Program. The project will see schools across South Africa getting tablets, computers and free internet access. Here's Network's Boitume Logasa with the details.
Government has partnered with the private sector to ensure that schools in South Africa get connected to the internet.
As government, we took a decision that let's invest in ICTs. And then we targeted schools, about 1,650 schools that were identified. And then now it was the final program, and we were saying we're handing over to the communities and the learners of the affected schools.
Telkom is providing internet connections. Intel gives the kids and the teachers relevant training to use the tools. One of the schools benefiting is Sinakangwedi Secondary School in Botshabelo, east of Bloemfontein.
Computers will help us a lot. Information will now be at a click away, and then everything will be more convenient.
I think this will give us an opportunity to be part of the broad of the world of technology.
The School Connectivity Program is one of the legacies of the 2010 FIFA World Cup. Communications Minister Eunice Karim says nearly 8,500 schools have been connected since 2009.
Mobile phone network giants MTN and Vodacom will know tomorrow whether termination rates will be reduced or not. ICASA told the South Gauteng High Court that both MTN and Vodacom will still make a profit even after the new termination regulations are implemented. MTN and Vodacom filed an urgent application to prevent ICASA from implementing the regulations on the 1st of April. This would mean MTN and Vodacom would have to pay 44 cents a minute to smaller operators. Telkom Mobile and Cell C, on the other hand, would have to pay only 20 cents. It's a deal that favors the smaller players. On Thursday, South Africa launched the first antenna for the Meerkat telescope in the Northern Cape province. The Meerkat antenna is one of the 64 that will cover the entire square kilometer array site. This first phase is expected to be completed at the end of 2016.
The square kilometer array. It's the most exciting scientific project ever undertaken on the continent. In fact, it's the biggest international science project of the 21st century. The multi-billion rand project aims to build the world's largest radio telescope. By placing thousands of radio telescopes in 3 unique configurations, astronomers will be able to monitor the entire sky thousands of times faster than any system currently in existence. On Thursday, South Africa launched the first antenna of the Meerkat telescope, situated at the square array site in the Northern Cape province.
It really opens up some very interesting skills and careers, and we want young South Africans to use it and to win Nobel Prizes with it.
The square kilometer array will be located in South Africa, 8 other African countries and Australasia. The science ministers, deputy ministers and representatives of South Africa, Botswana, Ghana, Kenya, Madagascar, Mauritius, Mozambique, Namibia and Zambia met in Pretoria for the first ministerial meeting of the SKA African partner countries.
We know that it will do incredible things for the African continent, putting our continent on the map in a very different way, changing perceptions of Africa, demonstrating the capabilities and the talent that resides on our continent. So everybody is immensely excited about this project.
An array of dish receptors will extend from South Africa into 8 other African countries from a central core region in the Northern Cape. A smaller array of dish receptors and an array of low-frequency aperture arrays will be located in Western Australia.
The Samsung Galaxy S5 is only due for release on April 11. But Samsung has been upstaged by one company, which decided to release the smartphone without the manufacturer's consent. Network's Lebo Sejake knows more about this than I do.
Samsung headquarters were left mind-boggled after being upstaged by a South Korean telecoms company. The electronics giant's highly anticipated handset device, the Samsung Galaxy S5, was released in Seoul prior to its scheduled global launch date. The device was set to launch on April 11th. But to Samsung's dismay, SK Telecoms beat them to it by putting the smartphone up for sale in March. Samsung had not been informed about this decision. The world's second-largest smartphone maker says the overseas launch date hasn't changed. The Galaxy S5 is sold for about 8,000 rands by SK Telecoms. The mobile network operator and others who participated in this premature release now face a 45-day suspension from accepting new customers as a penalty for providing illegal phone subsidies.
Genetically modified food could soon be introduced in Ghana. Locals don't like the idea, but as Zele Khaswane tells us, researchers say there is adequate technology to ensure that humans aren't harmed.
Tete Nati is working the fields in Ghana. He's one of thousands of small-scale farmers who contribute towards growing the country's food. Mr. Nati is opposed to the introduction of genetically modified organisms or GMOs to the country.
Anything that is not natural, it has got its bad sides. You know it. Yes, if it is not natural, then be very careful. Be very careful of it, because at the end of the day, we start taking GM products. But who has done the research?
A lot of Ghanaian NGOs aren't happy about the plans either. Many African countries have banned GMOs partly because of public fear of health risks. Researchers say there is no need for alarm in Ghana, as risk assessment will be carried out. Genetically modified organisms are entities whose genetic materials is altered using genetic engineering techniques. This involves the alteration, insertion or deletion of genes in order to improve the organism, in this case, crops. In Ghana, the Center for Scientific and Industrial Research is confident there's adequate technology to ensure GM crops are safe.
They are now looking into the technology and fine-tuning everything. And the good thing about it is we are using our local crops. So it is not crops which have been genetically modified and brought into the country. We are looking at how we can improve our local crops. So far, our technology is under confined field trials.
South Africa was the first country on the continent to permit GMOs. Since 1992, some maize, cotton and soybeans have undergone genetic alteration. Approximately 72% of all maize seed sold in South Africa is genetically modified.
Blackberry plans to introduce high-end smartphones in the next 18 months. They say these new devices will have keyboards. It's in an effort to win back core corporate and government clients who have shunned the company's touchscreen devices. Chief Executive John Chan says BlackBerry engineers have designed at least 3 different next-generation handsets that they're playing around with at the moment. Chan sees that strategy as the best way to reverse market share losses to Apple, Samsung and other companies. BlackBerry has also announced that it's considering introducing BlackBerry Messenger or BBM for desktops. The Canadian company also reported a fiscal fourth quarter loss on Friday. Following last week's Twitter blockage, Turkish leaders have struck again. They've now shut down the popular video blogging site YouTube. At least one European Union leader has called the move depressing and desperate.
As expected, the move to block YouTube in Turkey has caused an uproar.
They can never curb freedom of information. We will find a way to breach the ban. This shows how much government complies with the rules of democracy and freedoms. I am concerned about where the country is heading, because it's heading to an autocratic rule, a dictatorship. This is not normal. The world is constantly changing in favor of democracy and social justice, whereas we are going the opposite way.
Last week, residents found ways of accessing Twitter after it was also blocked. The YouTube ban follows the leaking of a video pertaining government's officials' discussions by an anonymous user, a move that is deemed as compromising to the country's national security.
We said we would close down Twitter. Some media outlets attacked us, saying this is against freedom. Whoever will argue against it, I won't listen.
Vice President of the EU Commission in charge of digital agenda, Neelie Kroes, has tweeted that this move by Turkey's government is desperate and depressing.
SABC Network on Facebook and Twitter, and we talk Facebook's purchases after the break. Stay with us.
Who says life has to be ordinary? Who says a beer can't be flavored? Add some flavor with new Flying Fish Premium Flavored Beer. Pure beer refreshment combined with the fresh taste of pressed lemon or crushed orange. Go on, add some flavor.
When a man's an empty kettle, he should be on his mettle, and yet I'm torn apart. Just because I'm presuming that I could be kinda human if I only had a heart. I'd be friends with the sparrows and the boy who shoots the arrows if I only had a heart.
Zoom into Africa. This is Senegal. The president is Mr. Macky Sall. Senegal withdrew from the Mali Federation on 20 August in 1960. The population is more than 13 million people. One of the major languages spoken is French. Monetary unit is CFA.
Welcome back. Facebook is harnessing satellites, drone and other technology. This is part of the company's ambitious effort to beam internet connectivity to people in underdeveloped parts of the world. The social network says it has hired aerospace and communications experts from NASA for the new Connectivity Lab project. They've been working with telecommunications carriers to make internet access more available and affordable. Facebook is the world's largest social network. The world's largest search engine, Google, says it's also driving an effort along the same lines. Now, Facebook's announcement that it's purchased Oculus VR has been met with mixed reactions. The social network company made the announcement on Tuesday. Oculus Rift are goggles that are popular with gamers. To chat to us about this much talked about 20 billion rand purchase is Digital Voodoo's Seth Mbele. Hello and welcome, Seth.
Good day to you, Spellen.
Now, what is Oculus exactly?
Oculus is basically, it's a company that manufactures virtual reality goggles. And if I can explain for 2 seconds what virtual reality is, it is basically a way of creating an alternate reality, basically enveloping your eyes to see a different perspective.
Now, Oculus is popular with gamers.
Oculus is fairly popular with gamers, but at the moment it's still in its sort of testing phases. They've released their development platform for developers to start working on developing games for Oculus. But it does have quite a large nerd and geek following.
There are quite a lot of people who are skeptical about this purchase. Why is that?
This purchase basically, it's different from the other Facebook acquisitions in that this is the first time that Facebook has gone into the hardware space. And it also shows a very aggressive move into the wearable technology space, which a lot of people are skeptical about whether or not it is the next wave in the technology future.
Well, they've been saying that's what we'll be doing in 2014.
Correct.
Yeah. Now, why is Facebook making so many purchases this year? There was WhatsApp in the year, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was. Basically, with most technology startups, the primary reasons for an acquisition are usually for talent, which is usually the number one reason, for technology, or for a user base. WhatsApp is more or less for user base. Because I think they, next to Facebook, they would be the biggest network. I think they've got, including Instagram, 200 million active monthly users. In terms of the Oculus acquisition, it is, like I said, I think they're making a big bet in terms of wearable technology, making a big bet in terms of hardware and how they can integrate that into their social network.
All right. Do you think it's going to work, though?
I think it's definitely going to work. I mean, my company, we do a lot of work in the virtual reality, immersive technology and augmented reality space, and what usually happens is that we've got all of this great technology, but it doesn't have a practical application. I think with the Facebook guys on board, they're going to find practical applications like telemedicine, education, and the like in a very quick space of time.
Okay, does that mean that Facebook will now move away from its core business?
Definitely, I think they will not. I think they're just looking at ways of creating extra layers of interaction. Maybe bringing the virtual reality element into the social space.
Not all acquisitions are successful, and we've seen other companies make acquisitions that haven't really done that well. Why is there competition between, let's say, the big players, Facebook, Google, and other companies, to buy smaller companies?
Basically, it's a race, and it's like a land grab, as we've seen in history with traditional land grabs. Companies are basically making quite sizable bets in terms of where they can monetize and where they can create more influence for their platforms.
All right, so the future for Facebook, what do you think?
I think the future for Facebook is much more integrated. I think with this Oculus purchase in the next couple of months, maybe a year, we'll be able to have wearable technology where I can interact with maybe a friend in New York and see their environment, they can see mine. That's just one of the basic uses I think this Oculus purchase will have.
All right, so we're in Africa, and probably a lot of people don't really understand Oculus that well, and as you said, it's just starting out, and then and there's gaming as well. How big is gaming in the developed world?
In the developed world, gaming is quite massive. It's one of the big industries. In South Africa, we trail behind, but it doesn't trail sort of statistically. It's in line with the other industries that do trail behind. I think probably it wouldn't be correct to assume that Facebook wants this acquisition to get into the gaming space. I think they definitely want to get into the wearable technology space. They definitely want to assist. You spoke earlier on about they trying to get more internet access, especially in the developed countries. And with these acquisitions, I think they'll be able to do very exciting projects such as telemedicine, like I mentioned earlier on.
All right, Seth Mbele from Digital Voodoo, thank you very much for joining us right here on Network.
Thank you, sir. Till next time.
All right. Now remember to send us videos where you are telling us about your favorite apps. Upload these on YouTube and tag us in social media, or you can send them to us via Dropbox. We are on News Network at sabc.co.za. Nyegongo Beni sent us this week's video.
And my favorite app is Shazam, simply because I'm a music lover, and I listen to different genres of music, so sometimes it's difficult to identify songs, and then that's where Shazam comes in, because it just helps you identify certain songs that you don't know the title for. And with it you can connect to the radio as well, so it's very, reliable in that sense.
Who says life has to be ordinary? Who says a beer can't be flavored? Add some flavor with new Flying Fish Premium Flavored Beer. Pure beer refreshment combined with the fresh taste of pressed lemon okra storage. Go on, add some flavor.
Good day and welcome to yet another evening of Afro Showbiz News. In today's headlines, the second annual Riakopana Opera Festival is currently underway at the Greenside Theatre in Johannesburg, South Africa. South African film The Forgotten Kingdom has received the Best Narrative Feature Award at the 2013 Woodstock Film Festival in New York. Durban's most loved blues band, Sea Green, is launching its very first album as a band. They performed at the Durban International Blues Festival last month.
That's Afro Showbiz News, Saturdays 7:30 p.m. on SABC News.
Welcome back. Animation gets adults and kids fired up equally, but maybe for different reasons. Parts of the world even have whole television channels dedicated to anime. Don't get us wrong, anime and cartoons are not the same thing. Morocco has the only animation festival in Africa and the Arab world. A lot of people grow up watching anime from Japan, North America and Europe. But these people wearing 3D glasses here aren't watching animated films from those regions. Many of the films are shown at the 13th International Festival for Animated Films, FICAM, in Morocco are from Africa. The main purpose of this is to teach about the technologies and art needed in animation. Aya of Yupongon by Marguerite Abouet from Ivory Coast has been well received here. The film tells the story of Africa without the stereotypes of war and hunger. The Ivorian won the first prize at the Angoulême International Festival for Comics in 2006.
You need the right structures for this kind of media. You need partners and sponsors who could finance these productions because they are very expensive. You also need the places and cinema theatres where you could play all this very simply.
This year, the award went to Jihad Eliassa from Morocco. He was chosen from among 73 candidates from various schools and institutes of fine arts and cinema studies in the country. Eliassa says the event will help generate more production of animation films in Morocco.
I'm sorry I have to do this, but you've proven again and again that you can't function in society.
This win is only the beginning of more production in animated cinema because Morocco does not have this art. I hope that this festival will discover more talents who could shine in this field.
The festival's artistic director, Mohamed Bayoud, says the strategy to attract students has paid off.
We may have some very illustrious foreign guests, but to do so, we should have spectators. This is why we concentrate on training young people from all over Morocco.
Filmmakers from Europe, Asia, Africa and America were in attendance. The problem in Africa will continue being the technology to make good animated films and the affordability of the craft for many. Let's take a look at what some people have been sharing in social media. Kaizer Chiefs won 2-0 against AS Vita of Congo last night. Despite this, it was a 3-2 loss aggregate, which means Chiefs isn't advancing to the next round of the CAF Champions League. It seems its South African arch-rival fans were excited in social media. Orlando Pirates made it to the final of the tournament last year and are the only South African team who have won the tournament in the past. After a newspaper report about a shortage of textbooks in Limpopo schools, South Africans took to social media to express their shock. Limpopo has had a textbook scandal in the past. The Cape Town International Jazz Festival ended last night. It seems fun was had by musicians and fans alike. They took to the net to express their joy at how things went. That's all we have for you. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook and Twitter, newsnetwork@sabc.co.za and email. Yesterday, people were asked to switch off their lights and observe Earth Hour. We leave you with a video showing us how this was done in different parts of the world last year. From me and the rest of the team, have a good one.
We ready to turn the lights off? Let's do it. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to you at home. This is Afro Show.